Damian Lillard had some nice moments here in Portland, Oregon, USA.
That he did.
Got to one conference finals.
Yes, remember it well.
Didn't win a game, so I don't know how much we count it, but they got there nonetheless.
They were technically in the conference finals.
But largely people that love Dame and cover the Blazers or follow the Blazers would say the Blazers maybe didn't do quite enough to help the Blazers win in the Dame post-LaMarcus era. And so, in a way, Portland was Damian Lillard's kryptonite. And then he got traded to Milwaukee. And he can't beat the Blazers, who are openly just not good. And so the Blazers continue to be, in a different way, a kryptonite. They beat the Bucks last night, 125
yes, they did.
to 112. The player of the game for many, Denny Avdia, had 30 points, 9 rebounds. Ant had 25, had his, normal, I'm playing against Dame, I'm going to make every shot night.
Yes, he did. DeAndre Ayton was on TNT for the first time in 2 years, and so he played with intensity and effort on both ends of the floor.
21 and 14 from DA. Shaden came off the bench, had 17. Scoot came off the bench and had 10 and 6. The Blazers, unstoppable right now.
Break them up. 5 out of 6, baby.
Giannis had 39 points and 12 boards, and none of that mattered.
I think at this point, we almost got the conversation wrong. Why are we talking about trading vets? We should be trading the young guys to try and win now. They're on a heater, only 6 games out of the 10 seed in the West. Got all those future assets. Let's go get another piece.
I do want to ask you what you thought of Toumani Camara if you watched much of this game, because in the points category, maybe not jumping out, but he got 11 boards. He played really sound defense, I thought. He was kind of hounding Dame all night. Mm-hmm. Milwaukee was trying to free him up on screens. The Blazers almost every, that's so weird. Dame, and
very
I'm
strange.
Talking about the Blazers, but not together.
Yeah, gotta take a while.
Almost every time he came off a screen, it just blitzed with 2, get the ball out of his hands. And Giannis had his night. Nobody else really did much of anything. We kind of noted this on the show, that sneaky underrated thing going into that game. They had to play in Salt Lake City. They were on a back-to-back.
Yeah, it's a tough back-to-back.
Portland was not. It's their one TNT game. Portland played hard.
Yeah.
And the closing lineup was exactly what you thought it would be. It was the vets. And they ended up closing this game out. Jeremy left the game. He only played 16 minutes. He got hurt or got banged up. But they played almost all the vets. And so they end up getting this win, 125-112. I was having the thought, because I think the Blazers are in a weird moment where it does feel like the way they've been playing, the production they've been getting from Denny, what Tua has been showing defensively, the night he had against OKC from the field, it does somehow, and I'm probably letting social media cloud this a little bit.
Never a good thing, but it can.
It does have a little bit of a feel that, are they turning some people to think like, hey, this team, they're 18-29. They are closer to the play-in.
Yes, they are.
Than they are the worst record in the league.
That they are. They're 6.5 games out of the 10 seed in the Western Conference right now. I made it till early in the fourth quarter last night. 1, I'm just tired and I wanted to go to bed. And 2, everything about that game I knew they were going to win that game. They were down by 12 in the second quarter. And you thought, okay, here comes Milwaukee. And then all of a sudden, Portland goes on a run. You're up by 3 at halftime. Outscored them by 5 in the third quarter. The lead grows to 8 going into the fourth. And I'm like, they're gonna win this game. I know how this game's gonna end. They get up for this. It's a nationally televised game. It's the only one they have on the entire 82-game schedule this year. It's a big deal for players. It's a big deal for the organization. And I knew that they were gonna find a way to win. And you mentioned Milwaukee being on the second of a back-to-back. I can be the normal negative depressed dirt, because I was that last night watching this game. Jeremy Grant getting hurt a week before the trade deadline was wonderful to see, and I can't wait to see what that injury news is. That's exactly how you want this all to go. But I'll give you at least one thing, and that is they are not playing as many minutes as they should. I am incredibly upset about the roles that they've been handed. You mentioned the fourth quarter stuff. I argued this a year ago on social media, even though I wasn't on the show because my kid was just born. And it was when Anthony Simons was taking final shots to beat Dame. And I'm like, I'm glad we're not playing the number 3 overall pick in this spot with a chance to go against the guy that he replaced. And what a cool moment this could be for him and the fan base and all that. But Scoot and Shaden were good last night. And that's the only thing that matters to me. Like, I've just reached the point watching them that I find myself, whenever the offense is like Anthony Simons ISO or Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton pick and roll, which is a large majority of your offense, I just genuinely don't care. I'm not invested in it. It
He
doesn't
was
matter
good
to me.
last night, though.
I'm not
Ant
saying
was.
that they were good. Weren't good. They're both fine players, and they can have nights where they're difference makers. DeAndre Ayton, when he needs to, can play with effort and intensity. It's like, hey, how about that? Glad we only get that 13 games out of the year. It doesn't do anything for me as a fan. Like, I know that those guys aren't a part of the long-term plan.
Well, you don't know that, actually. So that's where I would interject. You don't know that, and I'm not trying to say this to rile you up. I feel like if I bring the Blazers up, your blood pressure rises. We should get like a heart monitor or something on dirt when we say Blazers, like doot, 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 doot.
Yeah, I think you can do that on your phones.
That
now.
would be actually funny to open
There's
your
an
Apple
app,
Watch.
and you like with
No,
your
no.
finger touch
What
or
my heart
something.
rate is.
If you
It's
open
going
your
up right now
Apple
because you're going to
Watch-
say something that's going to piss me off. I know that you are. So go ahead. Just piss me off. Say something that's going to piss me off.
Well, I mean, look, my takeaway is,
Anthony Simon's just going to be a career Blazer. We're just never going to trade him.
I mean, we'll talk to Corrales about Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox, who are both easily looked at as better players in the league than Anthony Simons. But I don't know what the market's going to be. I think that is, when we look back on the year, there's a real possibility we go into the summer and we look back and go, the front office kind of overplayed their hand and did not calculate enough.
They absolutely did.
Okay, but like if they don't trade him, we can then say that. So let's see what they do a week from now.
He's got one more year left on his deal. Are we signing him to another $200 million contract?
At this point, I'm going to assume we're going to get a top 5 pick and we're going to draft the next backup position, whoever that is, and just everybody's going to be cool with that.
Take one more guard.
But you're talking about backups.
Huh?
That was kind of the wild thing. Like, I'm watching Ant hit, and I'm not at all. Like, my daughter's like, the Bucks are losing to the Blazers? And I go, weirdly, they're a bad matchup. They cannot match up with us. We got
Middleton
Lang.
was horrible.
Well, Middleton's not been good most of the year, to be honest with you.
It's also our Super Bowl. Like, let's be honest. We get up for this game as an organization. All these guys. Anthony Simons was Dame's protege. Like, Scoot plays well against Milwaukee.
I think we way over highlight that, by the way. The whole, like, he was your mentor. It's like, they practice, they travel.
really.
Like, come on, get out of here.
They get up for this game. It means more to the
means a little
Blazers to
something.
beat Damian Lillard and the Bucks.
You can see it in the way Ant plays.
Yes,
it does.
everybody
mean
plays.
something.
They
Yeah.
had intensity and effort last night.
And so I think they've won, 3 of the last 4 contests in the Dame era in Milwaukee?
so.
Right? I think they only lost the one. I have to go back. They swept the season series this year. I know that.
I know they won the home game last year. I can't remember if they won in Milwaukee.
But my point is, like, this is why I'm seeing, I think, Blazer fans morph into, like, my brother-in-law texted me yesterday, playing, ... And I'm like, you're closer to the play-in at this point than you are the worst. And then I got other people telling me, like, you can't control what player ends up on port. Like, people are talking themselves into this. Not a vast majority, not even the majority, but I am seeing, like, Denny's playing well.
Yes, he is.
Tumani plays stout defense. He's an absolute bulldog. And you have nights like where Anthony Simons goes 50% from 3, 9 of 17 from the field with 25 points. He also dished out 7 assists. And so, like it or not, you're talking about backups, man. This team ain't, unless they come into a trade that pops up a week from now, this team ain't coming into Scoot and Shaden being starters unless they give us the biggest of dinosaur craps, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, my God, look at that pile of lie in that injury report tonight. And that's the only way that this is going to change.
It'll happen eventually.
So
I guarantee it.
You're highlighting backups.
Yep.
That's not the closing lineup.
That's fine. I think that highlights the entire issue around this incompetent organization. That whole point that you just made, which is not wrong, it's factually correct, highlights why there is no purpose or meaning to this entire season for me. The only takeaway I had last night was they went on like a 14-0 individual run. Scoot and Shaden did in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. They both played incredibly well. That's the only thing that I take away from the game. Denny Avdia has been a really good story. Tumani should be in the, what is it?
The Rising
Stars or whatever the dumb name they have for it now. He got hosed from that. He absolutely should be in that game, and that was a thing. That was a gripe that was fair from Blazer fans that I saw on social media yesterday. The only 3 guys that I care about outside of that are Klingon, who was good defensively, didn't do a ton in the first half, but had a nice block in the second half.
Played 11 minutes.
Didn't play a ton, which, that's awesome for the long-term vision. And
not ready, Dirt.
Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson were really good last night in the limited minutes that they were handed, which obviously they can't be starters. How could we dare start those guys on a team 10 games below 500? But they both played well in their minutes, which has not been the case for both of them in the entirety of their time coming off the bench.
Donovan Klingon played only 10 more minutes than Bryce McGowan's.
Yeah. 7th overall pick. DeAndre Ayton played 35 minutes last night.
Well, Chance wants to win.
Got to win. You got to win. Got to win the games.
Win the game.
Got to win the games.
What's the objective when you roll that ball out and you throw it up? It's to win. Win the game.
It's going up.
Herm Edwards, what do we play for?
I'm going to start breaking stuff.
Play to win the game.
Play to win the game. Thank you very
That
much.
intro remix that Sports Center does, though, when they have him on,
The which one?
when they put all of his "You play to win the game" to like a
yeah.
beat, and it's actually pretty well done. It's one of their better things.
How about that, Sports Center? Good production.
You play to win the game.
I did find it a little funny. I missed a chunk because I had basketball practice. But I had the guy who helps, he shows up to our practices for the league and like gives us the balls and sweeps the court.
Ah, yes.
Roger, really nice guy.
There you go.
He's almost always listening now to a basketball game, and it's either the Ducks or it's the Blazers. And it was funny. He was listening to a Duck game the last week. And our promo played during the commercial break.
Yeah.
Does he know that's you?
I don't think so.
Doesn't connect the dots.
And I don't say.
Was it
I'm
me
just-
screaming about the Blazers? What was the promo?
I don't remember, but I never want to tell or talk about the fact that is me to anybody.
Oh, because you're gonna, yeah.
No, I just don't. I think I feel very uncomfortable about it, to be honest with you. I think you're kind of douchey if you're like, that's me, you know.
That's my radio show.
But he had the Blazer game on, so I was like coaching, and then during our like water breaks, I'm listening to what's happening. The start of this game had Brian Anderson and Grant Hill welcoming everybody in to TNT. And as the game has started, the tip has happened. Brian Anderson's like, one of the best environments in the league. And then Grant Hill goes, it's tough to play here. And there are scattered seats all
It was
over.
a late arriving crowd last
Well,
night.
I think fans are doing, and they've picked up on this throughout the years, they're being smart. You do not buy these tickets a day out, a week out, 2 days out, especially that game. That game, they were going to rake you over the coals for that ticket. You wait until the game starts, and then you go to one of your apps and you go, look who's desperate now.
$15.
And I think people are buying these tickets 5 minutes before the games. I think
Yeah.
it's the smartest thing you could possibly do.
You wait as
Yeah.
long as you can.
You know
'cause
you're
get them
going.
at the low amount.
Yeah.
They're desperate to
Yes.
get rid of them at that point.
Absolutely.
It's funny you mentioned the text you got from your brother-in-law because there are like we had a tweet last night from a listener who was like, man, getting a little excited. Like, here we go.
Yeah,
And it's
I'll read it right now, real quick.
just-
I'll read it. We go on the other side and bring this because we got John Corrales coming up.
seek help, people.